U.S. President Donald Trump says that combat operations in Iran are ongoing and will continue until Washington's objectives are met. In a video message, he confirmed that 3 U.S. service members had been killed in action and warned that additional casualties were likely. He vowed to respond to the deaths and urged Iran's security forces to surrender, saying that those who would not face consequences. Trump also called on Iranians to rise up against the Islamic Republic, a day after a joint U.S.-Israeli strike killed Iran's supreme leader.
And urge the Revolutionary Guard, the Iranian military, police, to lay down your arms and receive full immunity or face certain death. It will be certain death. Won't be pretty. I call upon all Iranian patriots who yearn for freedom to seize this moment, to be brave, be bold, be heroic, and take back your country. America is with you. I made a promise to you, and I fulfilled that promise. The rest will be up to you, but we'll be there to help.
After those dramatic words from the U.S. president, let's get more from our correspondent, Misha Komadvosky in Washington, D.C. So what else exactly was Trump talking about in his latest speech?
Well, Aaron, President Trump said the operation aims to prevent Iran from obtaining nuclear weapons and to counter what he called the world's leading state sponsor of terrorism. He confirmed that 3 U.S. service members were killed and warned there could be more casualties, but argued that the mission is necessary for Washington, for the United States, and the global security. He also urged Iranian military forces, as we heard, to lay down their arms or face certain death, that's what he said, and called on the Iranian people to rise up against the regime.
Now, Trump has reportedly said that the war against Iran could last some 4 weeks. What more can you tell us about that estimation at this point?
Well, President Trump reportedly says that Iran operation could take 4 weeks or less. That's important. And previously, we've heard from our sources close to the White House that the U.S. is planning for at least several days of attacks on Iran with the plan of a series of escalating strikes and then pauses to assess the damage on the ground. And President Trump said that he has agreed to have a conversation with Iran and said that the military operation is proceeding ahead of schedule.
Now, he also reportedly told The Atlantic magazine that Iran's new leaders want to talk. How exactly does that square with his 4-week timeline?
Well, the message appears to be that the military campaign will continue on its planned timeline or ahead of the timeline, as he said, while diplomacy could happen in parallel if Iran agrees to U.S. conditions. So, in other words, here, Aaron, talks may be possible, but they do not necessarily stop the ongoing operation.
All right, now let's turn our view back towards other parts of the United States. How exactly are U.S. lawmakers reacting to Trump's war with Iran?
Well, if we boil it down, Republicans largely support Trump's decision. Democrats mostly oppose it, and Congress is increasingly focused on whether the president has this legal authority to continue the war without congressional approval. And we know that Marco Rubio, the U.S. Secretary of State, Pete Hegseth, the Defense Secretary of the U.S., Dan Kane, Chairman of the Joint Chief of Staff, and John Ratcliffe, the Director of the CIA, are expected to brief Congress on Tuesday about the situation in Iran. We're expecting 2 briefings here, one for the Senate, another one for the House, and that's what we are hearing from the sources. But again, some lawmakers were complaining about the lack of briefings and detailed information provided them in advance of this operation. So we'll have to wait and see if their opinion will change after this briefing on Tuesday.
All right, and just one more question. It's quite surprising that Trump actually started this war, at least it must be to some members of his base. He, of course, ran on a position of starting no new wars. So how exactly is Trump's base reacting to this attack? Briefly, if you could.
Well, public opinion in the United States is largely skeptical or divided about this escalation with Iran, with which actually creates, you're right, a political tension with Donald Trump's earlier promise to avoid forever wars, as he said. And recent polling shows that there is limited support for these strikes. Only 27% of Americans support the U.S. attacks on Iran, while 43 oppose them and 29 are unsure. And most definitely, President Trump needs to make a case for this operation, especially for those who voted to keep the U.S. away from the foreign wars. So he's coming back to the White House in a few hours, and we'll see if he will address these concerns anytime soon.
And of course, you'll be following that for us throughout the night. That was DW's Misha Komadvosky in Washington, D.C. Many thanks for your reporting.